Views expressed by Casters Guild members are only the opinions of that member, and that could change from day to day. Guild members may use mature language, but that in no way means they are mature. Listener discretion is advised.
Dungeons Not Dating is set to be the hottest new app of the summer. The Fallout series was just as good as we hoped it would be, and who had the craziest announcement at CinemaCon? That's the spell we're casting tonight on Casters Guild. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Casters Guild. I'm your Guildmaster Rick Perry, a.k.a. Guildmaster P, a.k.a. the goat between O and Q, a.k.a. Big Daddy P.
I'm your Guildmaster Baron Kane, and I love Dogmeat.
Fair enough. And joining us for the first time is a brand new guild member. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Dove, and I am the creator and founder of a new up-and-coming app called Dungeons Not Dating that revolves around our D&D community.
So, Baron, I was scrolling through TikTok probably a few weeks ago, and I saw this cool thing about this app that's being developed. And so I reached out to the developer who agreed to be on our podcast. And I believe your response to the video when I sent it to you is that you would fight to the death for this.
Yeah. Is that a surprise? I would. Wait, is this building up to you putting someone in front of me to kill? Because
you'll do it.
I have a belly full of falafel right now, and I'm not sure that this is going to go well for either of
this. This is
involved.
The only way you'll actually make it into Valhalla.
Oh man! All right, let's do this.
All right, so Rachel, please tell us more about this fantastic up-and-coming app, because this is something I've wanted since Baron introduced me to D&D back in 4th edition.
Oh, wow. Okay, very cool. So this app that I'm creating, I am developing it to help connect D&D players with each other, because right now the community is so huge and so diverse with so many new faces joining, especially with different things like Twitch channels that are growing in popularity, the Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out recently, and even things like, I don't know if you saw, Converse shoes are making a Dungeons and Dragons edition now. So the game is really, really growing, but for new players, the hardest part is finding a table to sit at and play. And then even if they can find a table to sit at and play, who knows who they're going to be playing with. You might get matched a couple of 18-year-olds with a couple of 65-year-olds and a empty nester mother who have absolutely nothing in common other than the fact that they all want to play this game. So my app is designed to kind of help bridge some of those gaps, solve some of those problems, connect D&D players with each other, but on a deeper level. So not only is it going to be, hey, we both want to play D&D, but it's going to be, hey, we both want to play, and we have similar play styles and similar taste in music or sports or other hobbies and interests. So hopefully you're going to get set at a table where you feel comfortable and where you're going to enjoy your game on a deeper level, as well as build lifelong friendships and really forge meaningful connections throughout your gameplay.
Yeah, I absolutely love this idea, because as of right now, our only real options for something like this are Reddit channels, really shifty Facebook groups, and let's be honest, Adventurers League is not what it should be as far as your local game stores. A lot of game stores just don't even support it because it's not making them any money, so why would they? So the idea behind this being something that could not only put you with people who like your play style, but you can actually meet up with, is something that I think a lot of people have been like, hey, why don't we have this yet? But you're actually making it happen.
Yeah, I actually had this idea a little bit before COVID even started.
Oh.
And then I think that it was a back when it used to be Twitter. I think it was a tweet that went viral where someone basically just said, "Hey, hear me out, Tinder, but for D&D." And that was sort of what I was already building, and by building, I'm using that as a very loose term. It literally started as actual index cards that I drew the little D&D symbol on and sort of put these things together and kept them in my backpack. So that was what I doodled in my free time at work, was index cards of what the app screens could look like. But it really did pull this need to the forefront, and then especially during COVID, I don't know if you all were trying to play during COVID, but things like the Roll20 games, I think I probably applied to about 1,000 games, and so did 1,000 other people to each of those games, and if you heard back, it was a miracle, and then if you could actually get that spot, it was a second miracle. So, trying to play online with folks during COVID was not an easy feat.
Actually, Baird and I got really lucky trying to play D&D during COVID, because I think I did apply to a couple of Roll20 games and even tried to run a couple of Roll20 games that just did not pan out. And then we ended up playing online games together with some other people that we knew, and that game actually went for a really long time and eventually led to basically the creation of this podcast. So
wow.
We just got really lucky when it came to that, but absolutely that pain point was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, I'll be honest, I did still play too, but it was with friends that I knew, and just trying to schedule that was really difficult, but we did take our game online. So I had a couple of games running where, one person's in Texas, two are in Virginia, two are in New York, and one's in Minnesota. So just kind of spread across. So even the time differences were really, really hard to schedule out. And it was still fun. I love all the people I played with, but it was definitely difficult.
So you pointed out that people can kind of match via play styles. Is that going to be done through kind of descriptions of play styles or drop-down menus, like different tags they can pick?
Yeah, it is going to be the tags. So I do have an algorithm that's going to be working in the background to help align those tags with each other, which is why I'm doing a tag base for specific things like your interests, hobbies, play style, type of campaign. So that algorithm ideally is going to be able to kind of push those things to the front. So it is going to be a weighted algorithm. So something like scheduling is going to supersede your play style, but it's going to encompass those things on a weighted scale. So as you're scrolling through different people's profiles, it's going to be similar to a dating app profile, except instead of seeing a person, you're going to see their character first, and then there is a toggle to be able to see created by. But for the most part, you're going to be looking through characters, and it should feed you people with similar play styles or looking for similar things first. The only thing that's not going to be taken into account in that algorithm is going to be your actual character, race, and class. As you probably know, with D&D, probably wouldn't be a super fun game if it's a bunch of druids in the party. So the race and class are not going to be calculated into the algorithm, but the play styles, type of campaign, what levels you want to start at, how long you're looking to play for. You can search for strictly one-shots or long-term, mid-term, things like that.
And I'm assuming that for those who want to meet locally versus online, there'll be some sort of parameter for like radius, like within X amount of miles.
Exactly. That is something that's not going to be available in the first edition. Just to be fully transparent, when I first roll this out, it's going to be online based strictly, just to make sure that people are able to find matches, because I don't know what that user base is going to look like right off the bat. However, with that, I am going to be asking all users to provide their zip code. That way I can aggregate that zip code data, and then as I see strong user bases in specific areas, I can add that feature and say, hey, we've got a very strong user base in, for example, Dallas. Now we're going to roll out that feature to all of our Dallas metro area users. They'll have that option to pick their radius. But with in-person gaming, I'm also going to be increasing security, so there's going to be a little bit of additional verification for those folks, just to make sure that we don't get into any kind of creepy Craigslist killer territory or anything like that, or put anyone at risk, because this is going to be a 13 plus app as well. So folks as young as 13 will have access to these things as well. But you'll also have an age scale. So if you are playing, you can certainly slide that scale to make sure if you're a 13-year-old, you're not getting matched up with older adults or vice versa.
Yeah, I had kind of assumed there'd be security features, but I'm glad you bring that up, because someone who is listening might not assume the same thing. And without those there, I mean, that could lead to some situations that could be rather unsavory. Yeah. But I assume a lot of dating apps have something similar to that too, and people tend to use those. To be honest with you, I wouldn't know. I've never had to use a dating app. I've actually been married longer than those things have been around.
Dating apps are a wild world, so you're very lucky.
But it actually has me kind of excited to dive into an app like this, to see how an app like this works, because I don't have any experience with that firsthand.
Yeah, and this is modeled after some of those dating apps, but it's also very intuitive and user-friendly. So even if you're not someone who, has been on the prowl on these dating apps, it's still going to be very easy to pick up and use. It will have more basic, I guess, profile creation. So it won't be as in-depth as what you're going to be doing when you actually fill out a full character sheet or use D&D Beyond, but it's still going to ask you to create a personal profile and a character profile. It'll walk you through every single step, and then it's going to use a swipe mechanism for when you're looking at other people's profiles to find who you want to match with or who you want to play with.
So you said it's going to be like, we're going to have like the profiles of our characters and stuff. Like, are we going to be able to have like pictures and stuff?
Yes, you are.
So I'm going to be able to have like my character holding a fish for his profile picture, because that'd be great.
Sure. If your character wants to hold a fish. Yeah, it'll give you two options. You'll be able to either upload some stock art. I actually just hired an artist last week to make all my stock art. So you'll be able to either just pick from pretty generic, simplistic stock art, or upload your own art. So whatever you want your character to be holding or doing or looking like, you're free to do that.
Applause for actually hiring an artist when people are out here using AI.
Yeah.
So
I did use AI to do like a fake profile on one of the videos, and people were pretty upset about it. And I was like, oh, it's just a placeholder, I promise.
Right.
You guys reacted well if I had the little circle with the picture box crossed out and nothing else there. It would have looked really weird. But I do have an artist doing the stock images, and I have a full design team actually building out the app for me and everything like that.
I do think it's funny how we have all of this rightful hate for AI, but there's still use for AI.
Yeah. Just because you use it, it's not something to be hated on that you use it at all. There are correct uses for it.
Right. I think a placeholder is a pretty good use for AI.
Well, I actually started with Adobe stock images. I bought the subscription, and I was going through all these different stock images, and there are some that are D&D related, but none of them really fit too well. They weren't really what I was looking for, so I was like, you know what, it's fine. My design team actually brought over those photos, and I was like, it's good for a placeholder. It's fine for now. But yeah, there was quite a bit of backlash there, but there will not be any AI art in the final product or the actual app once it's going to market.
So you said we are appearing on this app mostly as our characters. What about for people like Baron and I, who are forever DMs, who are running more games than we're playing in? How would we appear as Dungeon Masters?
Yeah, so that is a great question. You have full creative power of that. So for our DM profiles, it's going to be a little different. You're still going to build a personal profile where you're going to say for a specific campaign you want to run, what types of themes, how long it's going to be, things like that. Instead of a backstory, you're going to put in just a quick little synopsis. But as far as the photo is concerned, you can have it as your initials. If you have a nickname you use, an alias, if you want to put your real name in, if you want to put an actual selfie or picture, professional photo, headshot, you can kind of do what you want with that. There's not going to be any stipulations for how the DM profiles look necessarily. You'll also get to set your player settings, so how many players you're looking for, and then other things like alignment. Some DMs don't want to play with chaotic players or don't want to play evil. So you'll also get to set things like that. And then for DMs, you actually will get to swipe on an entirely created party. This way it just gives some of the more of the control back to the players just in that beginning phase. So DMs will actually be swiping on parties that have already formed and checked off a party ready toggle. So if you say you want 4 to 6 players, your feed is going to come up and push you parties that have been created with 4, 5, or 6 players in them. And you'll be able to look through every single player's character profile, as well as that created by toggle to see who those people actually are that are behind those characters.
That's actually really well thought out. Some of these questions I asked you, I know you've already answered on TikTok. I'm just asking for the benefits of our listeners. What plans do you have to implement other games other than Dungeons & Dragons?
Literally the next question I was going to ask.
Yeah, that one has been coming up a lot. So again, just for the first iteration, I do need to keep things kind of tight when it comes to that match algorithm. If I opened it to any and all games right away, everyone would get about, 2 matches, and then they'd get to the end of their list because who knows who else actually plays that. Mm-hmm. So that one is going to be first iteration restricted to Dungeons & Dragons specifically, all editions, but specifically and strictly Dungeons & Dragons. But it is going to have an option in the profile creation for you to actually fill in other games that you're interested in or currently playing. And then I'm going to do something similar where I aggregate that data. And once I see that we've got a strong user base who also loves Pathfinder, we're going to throw that in. And then once I see we've got a bunch of people putting in Warhammer, now we're going to throw that in and allow that to be a filter. So it's going to be very similar to the in-person options where it's going to go based on the user base, what most people are putting in, and then those options will become available through different sprints of the app or different versions of the app once I'm upgrading and seeing what the user base is asking for.
Hopefully we'll get lots of people filling in Daggerheart.
Exactly. I do want to have a couple up there as examples as well, just so that people, can sort of see what else might be available if D&D is one of their introductions to tabletop gaming in general, or just gaming. Who knows? I might get a large user base of Skyrim players or something who might want to connect that way, and whatever people are putting in is what I'm going to try to incorporate and get started in the next iterations.
So what's the best way for someone to support or sign up if they are interested in your app?
Yeah, so I do have a website. Currently, it is just a landing page kind of announcing the app. It has one of the videos on there. Very easy to find. The app is called Dungeons Not Dating. So our landing page is dungeonsnotdating.com. I'm also on TikTok under Dungeons Not Dating, Instagram under Dungeons Not Dating, and then Facebook's the only one that's a little different. It's D Not D. So I can be found on any of those, and then I am leveraging a Kickstarter as well, just to try to bring the best version of the app to launch as soon as possible. So my Kickstarter can be found also under Dungeons Not Dating, and it's going to have some pretty exciting and fun perks and prizes. One that I'm pretty excited about. Is it okay if I share it here before everything launches?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So one that I'm very, very excited to announce, I do have a available low tier donation as well as a high tier guaranteed donation. But I am involved in a vacation club of sorts. So I have access to rent out literal castles, actual castles, like in Scotland and England. So one of the things that I wanted to incorporate into my Kickstarter was the ability to win a trip. So at a higher tier, you can get guaranteed an extended weekend stay in a castle, or at a lower tier, you can enter a raffle to win an extended weekend stay at an actual castle. So I do have one selected that'll be up there, but there are a couple of different options that if people are interested and sign up for that, they can kind of choose from a couple of different castles. And the stay will be covered, but not the airfare through this. But I do have that coming up, so that one I'm pretty excited about. And I've only gone to check out one of the castles myself, but I'm hoping that they're all pretty cool. So it should be a good trip for whoever signs up for that or donates towards those.
Well, we'll definitely have to enter those raffles because we've joked before about sending a representative of the guild on like a D&D in a castle weekend just to come back and tell us how it was and correspond. So
we were joking?
No, like we just need to reach a point where we have the funds for it. So,
oh, okay.
But if we win,
hey.
Oh.
Yeah. And one entry to the raffle portion, I'm still not entirely sure on the price point, but I'm trying to keep it as low as possible. So probably only $15 or $20 will be the raffle entry
that's
price.
Extremely reasonable.
Yeah. So.
It's like too easy.
Yeah. I was in before. Now I'm more in, I guess.
Yeah. So I think that'll be a fun one. I mean, usually with Kickstarters, you have the usual suspects, right? Different free subscriptions or advanced features or things like that. But I wanted to do something a little more unique, cater more to the D&D audience. And what's more D&D than hanging out in a real castle for a long weekend?
Very much agree.
Baron, do you have any other questions about the app or?
You came prepared for all these questions, and you pretty much took about half of mine. But no, I mean, I think I'm really excited about this. I'm really looking what I'm really looking forward to is when this launches, to see the community reaction to it, because I think that, like you mentioned that Twitter post, and people went crazy over it. I really think that once this gets going, it's people are going to be crazy about it. Obviously, just like any community, you're going to have those, jerks out there that are going to try to be not great. But I think for the most part, this is something the community has been needing. Just a way to connect, especially on the heels of COVID, because I think a lot of us kind of forgot how to connect with people on a real life basis. So this is a good buffer for us to be like, okay, all right, I think I can do this. I can meet this person in real life and play some D&D.
Yeah, and I did do a lot of research and work around trying to sort of help curb that social anxiety too. So that was one of the other main reasons why there's such a strong emphasis on the character profile first. So that way it kind of gives that little bit of anonymity, makes you feel a little more protected. You're answering prompts and responding to people in character first before you have to really kind of come out of your shell a bit more. Hopefully, again, forge those real connections, those meaningful connections. But I did think, right after COVID, we've got a lot of people who are a little crowd shy, and again, just like you mentioned, kind of forgot how to connect a little bit. So definitely want to do what I can to help that out and help more people enter this hobby, because it's such an awesome, cool community, such a cool game once you get started, but it can definitely be very overwhelming at first.
Oh yeah.
I mean, definitely we've seen firsthand how many people want to get into this hobby and how fast it's growing, because we're in season 5 of this podcast now. I've been doing it for more than 4 years and over 100 episodes. And our most popular episode is still our second ever episode, just titled How to Play D&D. And it's what people want to know. So being able to get into a group, that's step number 1, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then one thing I do want to address, because it has come up a few times and people are concerned about it. A lot of times apps like this, or just D&D in general, is viewed to be kind of behind this paywall to enter. And that is something that I've been thinking about a lot. I won't lie, when I found D&D, I dove in head first and I spent way more money than I ever thought a person should spend on a hobby. I was buying the physical books and then the digital books and then the minis and then the paints and then the sets and then the online compendiums, and I definitely went overboard. But for this app, I do want to let people know there is going to be a free version. I don't want it to be structured behind this paywall. The whole point is to be inclusive and to make it more accessible. So the app itself is going to be free for any and all users, and then there are going to be tiers or subscriptions if you want more features, additional profiles, things like that, for those players who do want to get into, 5 games or 6 games with all different characters, which I don't know anyone who would play in 6 campaigns with the same character, but if that's your thing, cool. Otherwise, there are going to be options to add on more characters if you'd like, or more DM profiles, especially for things like our paid DMs. If they want to run 12 different sessions, they can still do that, but that's where those subscriptions are going to come in. But if you're not trying to pay for this app, that is totally fine. You are still more than welcome. The free tier is still going to give you access to that algorithm, access to all those same tabs, access to all those same features. You just won't have as many character profiles or DM profiles as some of those folks who do subscribe for it.
Which really anybody that would use an app like, those people that would use the dating apps, that's kind of the same thing. It's free unless you want these other features, and it makes sense. So yeah, I think this is a cool approach to it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. I think it's gonna help strengthen the community a lot and help get a lot more new folks into the game. So
absolutely.
Well, if nothing else, you'll definitely have us as users and probably most of our listener base as well.
Very cool. Looking forward to it.
All right, so moving on, I have watched the Fallout series twice now in its entirety since its release. Once, just completely binged it as soon as it came out, and then I watched it again with my wife afterwards, episode by episode, as she was available to do so. And I gotta say, I had some doubts when it first got announced, especially after that first trailer, and they took care of every single one of them. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about the Fallout TV series.
I'll say as a production, I don't have anything bad to say about it. I still don't know about that Maximus guy.
No?
Yeah, got a bad feeling about him.
I mean, he was raised by the Brotherhood of Steel.
Yeah. That's the whole... That's the whole bad feeling, yeah.
And not the Lion's Pride Brotherhood of Steel. No,
right.
the California actual bad guys Brotherhood of Steel.
Right.
All right, so
I did not even get through it all. You guys are way ahead of me. I've watched the first 2 episodes only. I just haven't had the time. But I'll have to finish it, because I know who Maximus is, but I haven't seen too much of him in the first 2 episodes yet.
Okay, we'll try to keep it spoiler light then, but I'm going to be honest with you, I'm probably going to gush a little bit.
That's all right. I'll watch it soon, so won't be giving too much away too soon.
So I just got a message from a friend today, and they were like, so I just want to know, is the rest of the show as violent as the first episode? Because I had to stop watching halfway through. I'm like, oh no, it is.
Yeah.
It's like the first episode is the tamest episode, and they're like, okay. Yeah. And it's funny too, because on the violence thing, I was watching, and I was like, oh my god, this is pretty violent. I don't remember the game wait. Okay, never mind. I do remember the game being this violent. All right.
I was going to say, did you ever take the Bloody Mess perk? Because it gets pretty bad.
Yeah. Good times.
But they got everything right. From the way the vaults look, to the vault suits, to the Brotherhood, to the Enclave, to the NCR, and even the stuff that isn't direct references to the games still references the games in some ways. Like, the companion Dogmeat is not in the game. However, we get CX404, who his master calls him for, but the ghoul calls him Dogmeat.
In the much later.
Yeah.
And I think he was trying to insult the dog.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But it's still a reference, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's in a way we don't get Megaton, but Philly is obviously a reference to Megaton. Because Megaton, of course, being on the East Coast, couldn't be in the LA version. But it's still a reference to. Honestly, my only real gripe, somebody pointed out to me a couple days ago that I didn't even have the right to gripe about it because I was wrong. So when we first saw the Brotherhood carrier, they called it the Caswanon in pre-release materials. They were like, this is the Caswanon. If you zoom in during the series when the carrier shows up, it's not the Caswanon, it is the Pridwin. Which, my whole gripe with it was, if you look at Fallout lore, the Pridwin was the only one of its kind because it was a repurposed Enclave land carrier. They rebuilt it to be an air carrier, so they couldn't make another one because they didn't have the materials or the plans to make another one. So when a new one showed up in the series, I was like, oh man, that like screws up the lore a little bit. But it turns out it is the Pridwin that, after the events of Fallout 4, made its way all the way from Massachusetts back to the main Brotherhood base in California, which makes sense. So the one gripe I had about lore, they were like, oh, well, actually, and they really got me because the Pridwin was a name for King Arthur's ship in Arthurian legend. The same ship is also known as the Caswanon. So literally, they used two different names for the same ship, just like they did in Arthurian legend. And I was like, they got me.
That's pretty cool.
Did you have a favorite part, Baron?
Okay. So, full disclosure, Fallout is probably one of my favorite franchises of all time. I believe I've even mentioned that at least once through the course of our podcast, at least once during one of our post-apocalyptic episodes. There are so many. I think that, honestly, anything that happens in a vault is probably in my realm of favorite parts. So I'm also just started rewatching it too, so my brain has reset everything. Honestly, I think that first episode, just in general, that first episode is probably my favorite because it does the whole, it sets up all the characters, and even in Fallout 1, you get to choose between 3 different characters, and the TV show follows 3 different characters. Each character is set up in a different, almost a different play style. So, you got Lucy, you got Maximus, you got the Ghoul, and those are all 3 different ways, 3 differently, completely viable ways to play Fallout. And then also using each of those characters to set up very specific aspects of the world was just great. If I'm not mistaken, though, when they introduced the Ghoul, that really looked a lot like Fallout 4, like the area around Fallout 4. Even the guy that got the Ghoul looked like he may have been dressed up like a Minuteman.
Yeah, I could give you that. And it that might be on purpose. That might be a reference to where they're trying to make you think of Fallout 4.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Which, sure. But I love it. I loved that entire first episode. Not to say that, the rest of it was, not as good. The rest of it just kind of exploded, and it just kept getting better and better. But as far as my favorite, I think just setting up the whole thing was perfect.
I could definitely agree, being that my favorites are definitely the first episode and the last episode, which is kind of funny because I can say my favorite is the beginning and the end. And not only is that the names of the episodes just reversed, but it actually is the beginning and the end of the series.
Right.
But I've always been a Brotherhood of Steel fan, and it's mostly because I started with Fallout 3. And so my first exposure to the Brotherhood of Steel was Lion's Pride. which is the only good guys that the Brotherhood of Steel actually has. And they actually get thrown out of the main Brotherhood of Steel for being too good and like not going with the Brotherhood of Steel. So I thought that's what the Brotherhood of Steel was, and then I went back and looked at lore and played Fallout New Vegas and some of the other ones, and I was like, oh, okay, now I know why people look at me sideways when I say I really like the Brotherhood of Steel.
Sometimes, like, I really liked them in Fallout 4 because they were not really the villains. But even then, you kind of got to appreciate a good villain.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Doctor Doom. Who doesn't love Doctor Doom? Please, no one raise your hand.
That and power armor is just fucking cool.
Yeah, you're right.
Power armor and energy weapons. It's some of the best things that Fallout does, and it's just really cool. And I really love the way the series was able to balance the seriousness with the humor, which is something Fallout has always done. Fallout 1 is nothing but a series of Simpsons references and jokes. So to be able to balance the humor and really put that in there versus, like you already pointed out, the gruesome violence of the show is really something. Rachel, you said you've only seen the first couple episodes. Do you have a favorite part?
I mean, I really did like the first episode as well. I thought that it was really well done. The one part that I was concerned about that you two already sort of touched on once I saw just how violent and gruesome it was and my experience playing the game, I was concerned when they did bring Dogmeat in or CX404. I was like, how are they going to do these scenes? And I feel like even that, they got the point across, but they weren't over the top with it or gruesome when it comes to the dog. So I thought that was really well done, and I'm just a huge pet person, so I loved all the scenes with CX404. So I think keeping the dog in there, but not in a similarly grotesque way, was nice, as long as they keep on par with that. But definitely the scenes in the vault I thought were very cool in that first episode.
Oh yeah.
Can confirm, just to assuade any concerns, the dog does not die.
Well, I will say this, just because I know that there will be some issue, I will tell you this, anybody listening, if you do not like animals being harmed, that dog will be harmed at one point.
Yes.
At one point, he's fine. He's fine. I will ruin that for you. So just be ready for it.
He does get hurt, but he is fine.
Yes.
Okay. We've got the health packs nearby or something.
They're quick with the stim pack.
Good.
Yeah. That is what it was, wasn't it?
Yep.
And it was a person who hurt him. So he immediately redeemed himself.
There we go.
Just a funny little side note about this whole thing. I was watching New Rockstars, and Jessica Clemens was doing a breakdown on the first episode, and she was making like a huge deal about everything happening on the Santa Monica Pier, because you could see it in the first episode, and just the area around it is just blasted. And she was pissed because that Bubba Gump shrimp got wiped out that was on the Santa Monica Pier. Did you know that the guy that played Bubba from Forrest Gump was in Fallout?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's the guy who dug up the ghoul.
Oh, okay. That is a neat kind of point by point, get back to it situation.
Yeah, I mean, she also pointed out that he was in it. I didn't figure that out on my own. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
She pointed that out too. But yeah, the one cameo that I was really excited about, Eric Estrada.
Yeah, was not expecting that at all.
Was not expecting. Well, I'm not going to give any context, but Eric Estrada, right?
I feel like the context would be spoilers, but yeah, I mean, like, that was almost jump scare, like.
Yeah, because
is that
was like out
Eric
of
Estrada?
For our younger listeners, Eric Estrada was an actor in the '80s who played a cop on a force called Chips. It was a lot of fun, and they remade it as a movie, which really wasn't as great as all those other '80s show remakes that they did, like Starsky and Hutch and the other ones. But yeah, Eric Estrada out of nowhere, man.
Yeah. It figures, it being set in California, that they'd bring in the head of California Highway Patrol and just...
Yeah. Well, there's also another big cameo that Rachel, you've been introduced to, but may not have picked up on who that was. Matt Berry from What We Do in Shadows, Laszlo.
Yeah.
He's Mr. Handy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did not pick that up. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I definitely need to rewatch. I mean, I need to finish it first, but then I need to rewatch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was really surprised.
They spell it out for you later in the series. They don't let you miss that cameo. So like you will know it's him by the end of it. You won't have to rewatch to figure it out.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I was actually really disappointed in myself because he does not try to hide that voice ever. So you hear Mr. Handy, like you go back and listen to that Mr. Handy is like, how did I miss that?
You know.
So Baron, if you are heading out on the wasteland, do you know where you could go to get something to look good?
Is it tvillain.com?
It's tvillain.com.
Yeah. T-Villain is a t-shirt site where you'll find a killer limited edition shirt being sold for $13 only while supplies last. Every Monday, the site features a new design by a new artist. We would tell you what's featured right now, but by the time you hear this, it's already changed.
They choose the most ingenious designs that reflect everything evil and villainy, as well as works pertaining to anything artistic, pulp style, lowbrow, pop culture, TV, movies, music, video games, comics, etc. All things cool and evil, basically. To check them out and help out Casters Guild, click our link in the description.
So now that we're all, feeling good about the Fallout series, and we all watched that and thought it was awesome, CinemaCon happened very recently. And I have a list of things that were announced by some of the major studios. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through studio by studio and just kind of start listing these movies. I might stop at any point in time to go over what I think about one of these movies that might be coming out. Either of you feel free to stop me at any time and be like, wait a minute, I want to talk about that one. So we are going to start with Paramount. Not a fan of Paramount?
I'm so angry at Paramount right now.
Okay.
So angry. Because they just recently announced the renewal of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, right? Woo!
Mm-hmm.
And then season 5 and final season of Lower Decks.
Yeah.
I don't know what they have against Star Trek animation. They gotta stop.
I mean, maybe it's one of those things where sometimes a story needs to end before it gets bad.
Don't you? No. You know how anti-corporate we are here at Casters Guild. Don't you try to defend them.
You're right. It's not like we did it for like the first
Nope. We never did that. And you have no proof.
It's not recorded or anything.
Nope.
All right, so first on my list for Paramount Pictures is a new installment of the Scary Movie comedy franchise. Why?
Sure, why not? Why not? Sure.
Here's my problem, and it's not that I didn't think Scary Movie was funny when I was younger, and it's not that there aren't plenty of new horror films to parody. It's that the type of humor that the Scary Movie franchise is, I feel like as a society we have moved past. And this is my biggest problem with people who are like, oh, those movies couldn't be made today. And it's not because we're going to be offended by it. It's because those jokes aren't funny anymore. Like, we find new things funny. Comedy evolves and changes just like everything else. So unless they are like completely revamping the way that they're making their jokes and everything like that, I don't think it's going to be funny.
I agree. I feel like back when that was big, there was more of that, like, almost like slapstick humor, right? There were the scenes where the guy had the deformed hand and he's reaching around in the food and stuff, and, like, at that time it was really funny, but so was, and some of those are classics. Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, they have slapstick humor that I still think is hilarious. But today I feel like humor's gotten a little bit more cerebral.
So I want to point out that every time I go to a family Thanksgiving dinner and I dip my strong hand into the mashed potatoes, it's a hit. Okay? it is still hilarious, and everybody loves it, even the people who look angry that I did it. Okay?
Fair enough.
So it still works for some people.
Right.
All right.
We'll see if it still works for a general audience when the new installment of Scary Movie comes out.
Well, let's just also point out, if Chris Elliott is still doing movies, we should probably ask Hollywood to stop.
Yeah, that's true.
Literally his last good role that he ever had was dipping his strong hand in the mashed potatoes.
All right, next on the list, this one I am super pumped about. A live-action, rated-R adaptation of TMNT The Last Ronin.
That's officially announced?
That is officially announced, confirmed at CinemaCon 2024.
I have feelings.
Please share.
That's rough. I want to believe that it's going to do great, but I don't think it's going... This is just me. I don't think it's going to do well.
The same people who went and saw Mutants Mayhem should not go and see
Correct.
The Last Ronin.
Correct.
The Last Ronin is a tough book. It's an amazing book.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it. I actually just picked up the sequel they had released. I haven't read it yet, but I just picked it up. It's such a good story. It's one of those things where we are not a podcast that cares about spoilers, and that's such a good book that I'm still not going to spoil it. Go and read that book.
Mm-hmm.
But we've seen that a video game is in the works. And now we see we've got a movie in the works, and if they pay any kind of respect to the story and actually put that story on the screen, it's going to be an amazing movie. But like you said, I don't think it will be as popular as it could be. I feel like it's going to be like a cult classic thing. I feel like it's going to kind of like bomb at the box office, and then it'll find its audience afterwards, and it'll make up its money in streaming and physical media afterwards.
Now, I will have to say, I will get to indulge in one of my very, very, very few fetishes, in that I love it when parents take their kids to movies thinking that it's going to be this nice, wholesome family movie, and it's Deadpool. I fucking love it. God, I love it.
That's gonna be Last Ronin, 100%.
Yep. I'm going to the theater just for that.
You're gonna buy tickets for like the opening
Every
weekend
showing.
and like the next 3 weekends after that.
I will have a ticket for every showing of it just to sit in there and watch the people walk out. It's going to be great. Going to be great.
Get a part-time job at your local theater.
Oh yeah. Every time I'm going to get fired that day too, because I'm going to be laughing at them as they walk out. Every time. Oh God.
All right, so I won't talk about it too much more because, like I said, I don't want to spoil that story. But this has potential to be one of my new favorite movies.
Yeah, I can see that.
The next one on the list, we got G.I. Joe and Transformers crossover film. It's out of the hands of Michael Bay now, so I mean, at least there's that. For those of you at home who can't see Baron, he's making a very disappointed face as he shakes his head silently.
So let me tell you a few of the things that I've been sorely disappointed in the history of the Transformers franchise. 1, the Michael Bay movies. Horrible. Mm-hmm. 2, the Transformers and G.I. Joe crossover that they did in like the comics and stuff. Mm-hmm. Horrible. Mm-hmm. So now they're taking these two things that I hate, not counting Michael Bay, but we all know
it's
that Michael Bay is going to have his little signature on it.
Yeah.
We're gonna make that a live action movie, I'm assuming.
It doesn't say, but I also assume that.
Ugh, disgusted.
Disgusting.
Okay, moving on. We have a Bee Gees biopic directed by Ridley Scott. That's like it's like I just hate you with the Mad Libs. That's a bunch of stuff you were not expecting together, right?
Yeah.
What?
A Bee Gees biopic directed by Ridley Scott.
Okay, so let me just take this step by step. Bee Gees, the band, the Bee Gees.
Yep.
And Ridley Scott, the Aliens guy.
Yep. That'd be the one.
So altogether, a Bee Gees biopic directed by Ridley Scott.
You got it.
I have a question. Why?
Because Paramount. I mean, like,
And follow up, am I high right now?
I mean, I don't know what you did before the podcast, but I'm assuming no.
That's right.
A bold assumption.
I feel like we've said everything we need to say about that one. Next, we have.
Well, hold on. Yes, I feel like we said all that we need to say, but also no, because I feel like there's so much that needs to be said. So I don't know how to feel about any of this. But yes, let's move on.
Next up, we have Star Trek Origins, a film written by Seth Grahame-Smith.
You say Seth Grahame-Smith like I should know who Seth Grahame-Smith is.
I say Grahame-Smith because it's what's listed here. By the way, I'm getting this list from discussingfilm.net.
You said Seth first, not Smith.
Yeah, Seth Grahame-Smith.
Right. Grahame-Smith. Seth Grahame-Smith.
Grahame-Smith being hyphenated. You know what? I'm going to Google the name real quick. Oh my God. He's the guy who wrote all those books like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Oh.
Like the guy who takes those like classic bits of literature and like turns it into like horror. Mm-hmm. He also wrote a book called The Big Book of Porn in 2005.
Oh, wait, no, I don't know that because of I don't know him because of that. So you said Star Trek Origins?
Yes.
Huh. I did like a little Google on that, and Star Trek Origins was a fan film. Are they making an actual movie out of this fan film?
I don't know. As I said, I'm just kind of reading this list off of discussingfilm.net, and it's got two parts to the article. One of them is just kind of a list of some of the stuff that didn't get a whole lot of coverage, and then we get deeper in, and they actually have like films got further coverage. But when I say Star Trek Origins film written by Seth Grahame-Smith, that's literally all I have. But I assume you'll be digging into this later because of the Star Trek fan that you are.
Yeah. We'll like to point out that, yes, I probably will do that, but we all know, too, how the Spawn has been fully slipped into Star Trek hyperfixation for the last 2 years, so I'm doing this more for him. I will say this. I did find just a little snippet here, and it came out just a few days ago, and it is a Star Trek origin movie, and I don't think it's called Star Trek Origins. Now, what they said in that site, I'm not saying you're wrong.
Oh, yeah,
I'm saying, yeah. But I think that, because, like, it says, today the studio made the reports official as they announced their slate of films for 2025 and 2026, an official list which includes what Paramount is now calling, quote, Untitled Star Trek Origin Story, end quote. So, J.J. Abrams is returning as a producer. Boo.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what comes out of it. I mean, it's not being written or directed by JJ, so we'll see what happens. Yeah. This next one on the list actually has me very excited, and I need to give you a little bit of backstory.
Oh, no.
So, when I was growing up, my stepdad was a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger fan. And so I got to see a bunch of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies when I was young, just because he had them all. And my favorite was The Running Man.
That was good.
And I think it's mostly just because I'm a huge fucking geek, and it's a game show, and it's got all these really cool characters and these really awesome costumes. And as you also know, I am the biggest Edgar Wright fanboy to exist on this planet, and he can do no wrong in my eyes.
I am familiar with that, yes.
This next one is the Running Man remake, directed by Edgar Wright and starring Glenn Powell.
I'm in.
I mean,
so this is kind of like a dream come true for you then.
100%.
Awesome movie, favorite director.
I cannot wait to see what Edgar Wright does with the different characters, like the different hunters for the Running Man. And I don't feel like it's going to be possible for him not to inject his special brand of comedy into it. That's just going to fit just so perfectly. I don't know if this movie can be what I've built it up to in my head just in like the past day since I've read the title and who's directing it. But I said I was really excited about Last Ronin, and it could possibly become one of my favorite films. That pales in comparison to Running Man, directed by Edgar Wright.
And that also kind of falls into my post-apocalyptic / dystopian fascination too, because that's kind of what Running 100%. Man is set in. So I'm down.
That's one I will be there in the theaters to watch. It's gonna happen.
I'm not going to be as obsessed with it as I am The Last Ronin.
Right.
But completely different reasons, though. So.
Next on the list is the Naked Gun remake, starring Liam Neeson and directed by Akiva Schaffer.
Now, the only reason why I'm in for it is because the actor that they chose has the same initials as Leslie Nielsen. So yeah. I'm in.
I'm not sure how much closer you can get to Leslie Nielsen than Liam Neeson.
Right. You can't.
Sure. Yeah.
You can't. But to be fair, you got Leslie Nielsen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Purely a serious actor up to Police Squad. Once Police Squad hit, he became that guy. The funny guy. He did Police Squad. He did Airplane. He did Naked Gun, which was Police Squad.
Which is why he got hired on to Police Squad, is because he could deliver those comedic lines in a completely serious way.
Wait,
because
did Airplane come before? Did Airplane come before Police Squad?
Maybe, but either way, whichever one he got cast for first, that's
right.
The reason he got cast in the comedic role, is because he could deliver those lines in a serious way, which was hilarious. And all the comedic actors they kept trying to make it funny. Yeah. And it's like, no, that's not what we want you to do. We want you to deliver it straight.
In case you ever wonder where most of my personal comedy comes from. So
very easily to
determine. So Leslie Nielsen, Liam Neeson, he's already got the first part done. Purely just a serious actor. Now we got to see if he can deliver on the purely comedic that he would need to be for this.
Well, we've seen him do it once in Ted.
Oh, honestly, I don't remember him in Ted.
Okay, so he shops at the grocery store that Ted works at.
Okay.
And he brings up a box of tricks to Ted's register, and he's like, so I'm to understand this product is for children? And, like, there's a whole exchange where he's like, so even though I'm not a child, if I buy this box of tricks, there will be no problems.
I don't remember this at all, but I can see him doing it in my head, and I need to watch this again.
You do. It's hilarious. So if this is the energy that he's bringing to the Naked Gun, I am here for it.
Yes, I agree. Holy crap.
Because he's already shown he can do it. All right, we need to start moving through these faster. A new original horror film titled Vicious, starring Dakota Fanning.
Okay. I really.
How old is she
now? That's a good question.
It's got to be like in her 20s now, right? I haven't seen Dakota Fanning in anything since she was
Dakota Fanning's got to be in her 30s.
She is 30. She is exactly 30.
Okay.
That means
good call.
I am technically right, which is the best kind of right.
To be honest, I'm not a huge horror movie fan, so I don't have too much to say about this one.
Especially with that limited information that I've been handed.
Yeah. This one, on the other hand, a new musical from the South Park creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone with music from Kendrick Lamar.
What? Stop!
This sounds like another one that's like an ad lib where you just put a bunch of things together that shouldn't.
A bunch of these do. I mean, like The Running Man, directed by Edgar Wright. Frickin' a new South Park musical with Kendrick Lamar. Bee Gees biopic by Ridley Scott. It's like, is AI writing the concepts for these now? Are they throwing darts at a dartboard? What?
They're letting manatees choose it.
But we know they can do musicals. I mean, like the couple South Park movies that have come out, the songs are fantastic. The Book of Mormon.
Literally, their first movie they ever did was a musical.
Basketball?
Nope. Cannibal.
Forgot about Cannibal.
Yeah. Based on a true story.
Because it's what they do. I mean, like, I just don't think there's any way this could be bad.
I mean,
You're
I'm a fan of
right.
music. I'll definitely watch it. I'll be into it.
And honestly, if you've never seen a Trey Parker or Matt Stone musical, it's weirdly good.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
you would
better
not.
than it needs to be. Like, every song they write is better than it needs to be. Like, they could just, like, make a song that gets the joke across, but no, they make genuinely good music.
Yeah.
Love that. Yeah.
Next on the list, Paw Patrol 3.
Sure.
I didn't see 1 or 2.
Look, if I don't know what more they can say that Paw Patrol 1 and 2 didn't already get across, but I mean, if they want to go ahead and try to drive that home, you know, maybe it's going to be some kind of biting commentary on the relations between law enforcement and the general public. But I really think that, yeah.
Remember, kids, all cops are bastards. Even kids. All right. Next on the list, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem sequel.
I mean, I'm down. I don't need to know anything about it.
I want that and The Last Ronin to come out the same weekend, so even more kids get taken to the wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I just think you're flirting with me, and you have got to stop. That is great. Woo. Is it hot in here?
All right.
As long as Donatello gets mollywopped again, I'm in.
And on that note, Aang the Last Airbender, with voice cast featuring Eric Nam as Aang and Dave Bautista as the film's villain.
Wait. Oh, it's a movie? Like an animated movie?
Yes.
Are we getting Dante Bosco back?
I don't know. It doesn't
Then I'm
say.
not in. I unless he's in, I'm not involved.
That's a pretty good that's a pretty good barometer there, I think.
Yeah. Yep. That man needs to be in everything.
All right, next we got ones we've actually got trailers for. So there's A Quiet Place Day 1.
Okay. I will say this now truthfully. I believe that they've said all they needed to say, figuratively speaking, with the first movie. The first movie we could have stopped, I think.
So you think even the second one they did?
Look, he needs to stop. No, you know what? Never mind. We got a better Mr. Fantastic anyways. You know what? Screw you, other guy I'm not even going to name.
All right. Speaking of the guy you're not going to name, we also got a trailer for If. If is a comedy movie about imaginary.
Is he in that?
Imaginary. He's the director.
Really?
Yeah. John Krasinski is the director, with Ryan Reynolds being the star.
Okay. He's got all this stuff. He really just needs to go back to playing Agent Wu. And
where's he finding the time?
Let's bring that character back. Come on.
Yeah, that's
favorite. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say my favorite thing that came out of the oh wow, now I can't even remember the name of the movie that we were just talking about. But my favorite thing that came out of that was a joke from The Office when Michael Scott is talking to John Krasinski and he's like, James, Jimothy, can I call you Jim? And then he goes back to calling him Jim. And then everyone memed it, where they had like first season John Krasinski as Jim, and then they had like last season as James, and then they had a Quiet Place John Krasinski as Jimothy. And that's one of my favorite memes.
That's fantastic.
Best thing to come out of that.
All right, then we got a trailer for the new animated movie Transformers 1.
Okay.
The story follows a young Optimus Prime, still known as Orion Pax, played by Chris Hemsworth, and his brother-like relationship with a young Megatron, known as D16, voiced by Brian Tyree Henry.
Sure. Anyways, they need to get that Transformers money. Sure. All right.
There's like 4 more paragraphs about that I won't be going into.
Holy shit! Really?
Yeah, it's
really
nuts.
We get one line of Dakota Fanning's Vicious, and then like 4 paragraphs of
because it actually got a trailer. So like other ones were just announced. They're like, we're doing this, but some movies actually release trailers.
I'll only watch it if the people who did the She-Ra Princess of Power did this. That's the only way I'll watch it. It needs to be kitschy and cartoony and cute, and they need to be gay. And I'm fine. I will watch it if that is the case.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
I need robot on robot love between Orion Pax and D16.
He'll get that D16, all right.
Yeah, he will.
All right, next up, we got a trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and an announcement that Shadow the Hedgehog will be voiced by Keanu Reeves.
I wonder what voice he'll choose.
Well, you know, it makes sense that they cast him. He knows a thing or two about speed.
Does he have a problem?
No, it was one of his first movies. Come on now.
Oh. He did Speed in his first movies?
Yes, obviously.
Oh, crazy. Sorry.
The only thing that movie needs is that little girl needs to get shot. They need to show it. Otherwise, Shadow does not have his origin story. And if they're bringing in Shadow, that little girl needs to get shot. It needs to happen.
Man, I thought I was
very
bad.
odd sentence to hear.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
a weird sentence to hear.
All right. Shoot that little girl then, I guess.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Can it just be Cyclops? Can we just shoot Cyclops?
If I get to see that, I'd be okay with that instead of the little girl, as long as they show it.
Cool.
But it's got to be enough to bump up the rating of that movie if they're going to give me Cyclops.
Oh, so like Fallout level violence?
Yeah.
And we've come back. We've brought it back.
Right.
All right. Next on the list is Gladiator 2, which will be directed by Ridley Scott once again.
Swipe.
Okay, that's the end of Paramount.
Okay, no, we're going to go back. Why? What more can they say? He did die at the end, right? I saw him walking through the wheat field. That implies dead. Who? Yes, go ahead.
Oh, you want me to read a little bit of what they have here?
Sure, what are their
once
8
again-
paragraphs? Sure, go ahead.
Reading off of discussingfilm.net. We were treated to an early look at Gladiator 2, which featured unfinished footage since the film is still months away from release. The 5-minute reel started with footage from the first Gladiator, as we see the iconic shot of Russell Crowe's Maximus grazing his hand against a wheat field. We're then introduced to Paul Mescal's character, who recalls the impact that Maximus had in the Colosseum, that a slave could get justice in the arena. We see a hand grab a sword mounted on a wall labeled Maximus. So I think it's a different Gladiator who is following in the legacy of Maximus.
If Gladiator 2 isn't the story of Spartacus, I'm not in. I'm not in.
I guess we'll have to see, because they basically just gave a small teaser.
We will have to see. We will see, Guildmaster Rick. We will see.
All right, so next I've got Lionsgate.
Oh, this could be hit or miss.
Starting with Highlander, directed by Chad, and I'm going to mispronounce this, Stahelski? Chad Stahelski?
Well, look, we couldn't pronounce the actor's name in the first Highlander. It's fine. You can mispronounce this one all you want.
Yeah, I don't know what else we're going to do with Highlander. I mean...
Nothing. It's a remake.
We've had the movies, we had the series.
We should be saying the exact same thing that we said with the first one, except in a more modern setting. I'm fine with this.
Okay.
I'm fine with this because I love the first Highlander, but it could definitely use an update. And you know what? The people who made it thought the same thing, because they went back and they edited a bunch of stuff after the fact. So they know that it could use an update, so we're fine. Fine.
All right, next on the list, a live-action adaptation of the famous Naruto anime directed by Destin Daniel Cretton.
This is probably an unpopular opinion, but I've never liked Naruto. I tried to watch it a few times, and I just got annoyed every time I couldn't do it.
So then we both agree, just for different reasons. This live-action adaptation is going to be horrible.
I was never a huge fan of Naruto, but Guildmaster Baron definitely is. Well, live-action adaptations have been hit or miss.
Name one hit.
Rurouni Kenshin.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Sorry.
It's good.
You have demanded that I watch it, and I haven't yet, so
It's
yeah,
good.
sorry.
Let's see, I didn't hate Cowboy Bebop. I know a lot of
You're
people
right.
did.
I didn't hate it either.
Could
Could have been better, but I didn't hate it.
I haven't watched it, but One Piece got a lot of love.
Yeah, that's another one too. I didn't get to watch that one either. Okay, you named a couple hits. Okay.
Yep.
Good job. Thank you.
So we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
Next one, Now You See Me 3.
I'm down. I love the first two. Again,
Really?
This is one of those things where it's like, what more could they say? And I'm like, you know what? I don't really care. As long as they do more magic tricks, I'm fine.
I, on the other hand, was not a fan of the first one or the second one. I hated the second one more than I disliked the first one.
No, I like them. You know who could really do a good adaptation of that movie, though? Edgar Wright.
I'd be on board if it was Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
On board if it was Edgar Wright. No, here's my biggest problem, and this is a stupid problem to have, but this is my biggest problem with Now You See Me.
Right.
When they came out
with him the whole time?
When they came out with Now You See Me 2, they called it Now You See Me 2 instead of calling it Now You Don't.
Yeah. No, yeah. No,
it was right there.
It was right there. They didn't see it.
Next on the list is a remake of the Blair Witch Project, produced by Jason Blum and Blumhouse.
Yeah, I get it, Blumhouse, but again, that whole Blair Witch thing, that was a flash in a pan, kind of. It was new, it was different, it was fun. They had a whole ad campaign. No, they can't. They can't. They proved it with Blair Witch 2. They can't make it work.
It worked because of the time it was in, and the whole found footage thing was new and novel, and
their marketing campaign.
Yeah, their marketing
campaign that was convincing everybody that it was real.
Mm-hmm. That shit was on fire.
It was.
All right, I know we've had a few that have sounded like Mad Libs. Here's another one: a live-action Monopoly movie produced by Margot Robbie.
I gotta see it. I have to.
I knew she was going to be working on a Sims movie, but like Monopoly.
Like, how is this going to go?
It's Monopoly put out by the same people who make Barbie.
If the message of the movie isn't capitalism is bad, which it won't be. That's not going to be the.
I feel like that's how Monopoly goes, though. It seems okay until you get to the late stages of capitalism, and then only one person is having a good time.
Which is why the game was created, was to show what happens in late stage capitalism.
I don't think they can get around that in a movie, though. It's going to have to follow that.
But I
don't know.
It's just one of those things where you have these companies who are producing these movies who are fans of late stage capitalism, so I'm not sure if they can sit here and dunk on themselves that hard.
They are the 1% that's still having fun.
Exactly.
So. Yeah.
All right, so moving on to ones we actually got trailers for. There's The Crow, which is the remake with Bill Skarsgård.
Keep going, please.
Keep going. Okay, we're swiping.
No, I said, oh my God. Good Lord.
No, keep going with the cast.
No. We don't need to keep going with the cast.
Okay.
They lost me as soon as they put out that picture of Jared Leto as the Joker, and they tried to convince me that it was Bill Skarsgård as the Crow.
It is strikingly similar.
Strikingly similar. The only thing that the only way I'll be convinced is if I can see his hands. Show me your fucking hand and make sure that there's not a fucking smiley face on that thing. Until then, I'm not convinced.
All right, next on the list is Borderlands.
Okay.
I was so on board with this until the trailer. Like, a lot of people were upset at the casting, and I was okay with the casting until the trailer. And then I saw how they were playing the characters and, like, where kind of they were going with the story. Mm-hmm. And I am going to have to separate this in my brain from the video game entirely to find any kind of enjoyment out of it.
Right. Yeah.
But I was so excited.
My favorite video games, so I'm kind of I'm nervous to watch it. I don't want it to ruin the video game for me.
Yeah, the trailers, I was excited every time they came out with a new name and they were like, oh, this person's going to be playing this person, I was like, on board, until I actually saw them take on the roles in the trailer. And I'm like, you're not even trying. You're just playing yourself instead of your version of that character.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I was skeptical at the first trailer of Fallout, and they sold me on that eventually, so maybe they will on this. I doubt it. But maybe.
Yeah.
Then we have Never Let Go.
Is it the sequel to Titanic?
No. It's a horror film starring Halle Berry.
Those always go so well.
And basically the entire premise of the movie is like they have to stay locked inside, and if they are outside, they have to keep ropes tied around their waist, and they can't get too far from the house.
Kinky.
Very, very Quiet Place, Bird Box style of horror movie where you don't really know what's going on. There's just kind of like this strange premise that they're living in.
Come to find out, it was the shark from Jaws the whole time.
Who grew legs.
Yep.
We're gonna need a bigger SUV.
Yeah.
Then we have The Grey with Henry Cavill, Jake Gyllenhaal, Isa Gonzalez as a ragtag team of misfits who come together with a shared mission of fame and revenge.
It's fun. Sure.
Next on the list is a John Wick spinoff that they're calling John Wick Presents Ballerina.
Sure. I'm in.
I mean, all I had to say for you was John Wick, and you were in.
Yeah. They had me all the way up through the third movie. I loved every movie that they did. Yes, it was completely unrealistic. It was, crazy, silly. That man did not sleep for 8 days, I'm pretty sure. But whatever, it's fun. So I'm not there for realism.
But yeah, I don't think John Wick is in it much at all. It's a new assassin named Ana de Armas who was taken in by the.
Nope. That's the actress's name.
Oh, never mind. That's who's playing the new assassin, who's taken in by the Ruska Roma crime family and trained to be an elite assassin, who admires John Wick from a distance, and during the journey meets another grungy-looking assassin played by Norman Reedus.
Ever since Walking Dead came out, I've been a staunch anti Norman Reedus advocate here. I can't stand him. I'm sure he's a nice guy.
Next, we have a Michael Jackson kind of thing going on called Michael, where Michael's own nephew, Jafar Jackson, portrays him in the film, and it kind of covers all the iconic eras of his career. So very much like a biopic.
Okay.
And that is it from Lionsgate.
That is a very Lionsgate lineup.
Yeah.
All right. Next, we have Universal.
Oh boy.
Universal, I've got nothing but films that have trailers except for one. One film did not have a trailer, and that's the Five Nights at Freddy's sequel, which is coming in the fall of 2025.
Sure, I'm in.
Of course, they're making it. The first one did well enough.
Yep.
We got a trailer for Twisters, the Twister sequel remake thing that's coming out.
Right.
We got a trailer for Despicable Me 4.
Not gonna lie, I love those movies.
Yeah.
I think they're hilarious.
Well,
I know they're for kids, but I'm in.
Look, I have no problem with Despicable Me. I have problems with all the boomers who use Minions as Facebook memes. The movies themselves are delightful. In this one, Gru has a baby, and apparently some other villain from his past wants to get revenge on him by taking it out on his family. So now he has to protect his family. So, yeah. That next, I heard nothing about this. I watched the trailer because it got released. It's called The Wild Robot, which is a new one coming out from the same team at DreamWorks who did How to Train Your Dragon. That's got this robot that looks like it's trying to explore this world that nature has reclaimed. Like maybe he was built in a civilization that is long past, and now nature has reclaimed the world, and he got turned on, and he's exploring that world. It's more of a teaser than it is a trailer, but it looks really fucking cool.
Nice. That sounds pretty cool. I'll watch that one. Next,
we have Wolfman to be released in January of 2025. And it's still in its early days of shooting, so I don't know a ton about it. But it's using the Universal Classic Wolfman title, so...
Right. Which, I didn't mind the Benicio del Toro Wolfman movie that they did. I actually thought that was fun. But, sure. Maybe they're going to try to go for their whole Dark Universe thing again.
I mean, being is that they're building a park for the Dark Universe as we speak, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea to release a bunch of movies.
It would behoove them.
Next up, we got a trailer for Wicked. I never saw the musical, so this will be my chance to really find out what that story's all about. I hear it's really good.
Show.
Yep.
Good music.
Yeah.
Speaking of Dark Universe, we also got a title called Nosferatu.
And that could go many, many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're calling it a bold reimagining of the classic horror tale. And
Okay,
it's got Lily Rose Depp in it. So
okay, so not based off of Dracula per se, but like Count Orloff.
I'm thinking so.
Yeah, I know things.
And that's it from Universal. So we get to the last, but certainly not least, Disney.
Again, that was a very Universal lineup. That's okay. Cool.
So starting at the top with Disney, we've got Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
I'm in.
As soon as you said, I said apes. I knew you were in.
I'm in.
I haven't watched any of the new Planet of the Apes stuff, so at this point, I think I might be. I think I might be too far out. That like I need to start from the beginning.
Yeah, if you haven't seen any of them, they're really good. And this is coming from, again, someone who really enjoyed the originals.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you've ever seen the originals, you realize how goofy those movies are. And then, like, God forbid you watch the Tim Burton attempt.
Yeah.
This new stuff, it's actually really, really fucking good. Like, they hit on a lot of stuff. You'll get hit with some of that fan service stuff where they're just like, we're going to use this to explain something you saw in the original movies that definitely doesn't need an explanation at all. We'll call it Solo's gun.
Sure.
But for the most part, a lot of it's cool, and the acting in it is really cool. Some of it is just like really emotional stuff too. So yeah, it's really good.
I assume it's all on Disney Plus, so I might just have to go back and watch them all.
I honestly didn't even know it was a Disney franchise.
Well, it might not have been originally. It might be one of those studios that Disney bought up.
I think it was Fox.
Yeah. All right, so next up, we all knew it was coming. We've talked about it a few times already this season. Deadpool and Wolverine.
In.
That's the name.
In.
Oh, you are in. I thought you were asking Deadpool and Wolverine in, and I'm like, no, you're in. Yeah.
That's it.
We've talked about it to death. We're gonna see it. It's gonna be good. We got another trailer for Inside Out 2. Sure.
First one was good. I'm sure this one will be fine.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's gonna be as good as the first one, but I keep saying we'll see, but like it's pretty much the theme of this, isn't it? Moana 2.
Sure. No, I will say this. Both of these movies, again, are like, they said all they needed to say with the first one.
Yeah.
So, the second one, it's like, sure, I'm sure it'll be fine, but what are you adding to the conversation with these sequels? But
I'm sure I will see it. It was one of my daughter's first gotta watch it over and over again movies, so I'm sure I'll see it.
I love any movies with Lin-Manuel Miranda's music. I think he's just excellent, so I'll definitely watch the second one. But yeah, I don't know where they're gonna take a sequel, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
Sure.
It doesn't say anywhere here that he'll be doing the soundtrack again, but I don't see how they could do it without him. So maybe they will, and if nothing else, it does mean we'll get more Lin-Manuel Miranda music.
Yeah.
As long as he doesn't sing it, we're fine.
Then in December of 2024, we're getting Mufasa the Lion King.
Oh. Is this like the alternate universe where Mufasa doesn't die? So it's...
I think it's
like a prequel.
It's his upcoming. Like, this is when he becomes king. Which, I think that sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. Obviously we're not going to have the same actors doing the voices of, Mufasa and his cousin wife, but seems cool.
Apparently it's got visuals similar to those of Jon Favreau's Lion King from 2019, and
oh no.
From what we can see in the trailer, it's a story told by Rafiki.
But it's that live action.
Yeah.
Never mind, I'm out.
I don't think it's that bad. I'll still watch it. Valentine's Day of 2025, we're getting Captain America: Brave New World.
Yeah, sure.
Which puts, of course, Sam Wilson as the new Captain America, meeting with Thunderbolt Ross, who is now president at the White House. So
I saw that they showed a trailer there, and I guess Sam Wilson walked up to him, and they were like, "Huh, you look different." And he's like, "Yeah, they told me to lose the mustache or lose the election." It's like, you guys.
And that's it for what I've got from Disney.
Damn, really? That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they really are telling them to back the fuck off on their stuff, aren't they? Because, like, I know, like, when Bob Iger came back and, like, took over from that other guy, I guess he was like, hey, you guys, MCU particular, you need to cut it out. You're putting out too much stuff, and, like, they canceled a lot of their stuff because of that. So, yeah, if we're only getting one freaking trailer from WonderCon, that's amazing.
Well, remember, this is CinemaCon. So, like, don't forget, we just last episode just went over all the Star Wars movies that are coming out that was announced
at
Star Wars Celebration.
Star Wars has got some shit coming, so.
I feel like we'll probably hear more from Marvel at a convention that isn't CinemaCon. Like, once actual, like, Comic-Con or something like that rolls around, we'll probably get, like, the, next phase of Marvel lineup, and
sure.
That's where we'll hear all about those.
I can see that.
Oh, and one thing not for the major studios, one that I picked out that was from a little bit more of a indie company. There's a French film coming out that I thought you'd really like called Family Pack.
I saw.
And essentially the premise of the movie is it's a family playing the classic party game Werewolf.
Oh,
and
nice.
Then they actually get put in the game. Like, all of a sudden, they are transported to, like, a fantasy medieval land and are playing Werewolf in real life. Like, very Jumanji-esque in a way, but it's Werewolf.
Very cool.
So, yeah, not only is that werewolves, which I know you're super into, but, like, it's also based on the board game, which is really neat. I know we've both played that game probably more times than we can count.
Mm-hmm.
And my manager actually informed me today that if it's a French film, it automatically counts as an art film.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be really cool. And I figured as long as we're talking about all these major studios, like a movie like that should get some attention too.
Agreed.
So with that, that's all the coverage I had from CinemaCon. And honestly, we're already starting to run over. So Rachel, thank you so much for joining us for this episode. If anybody liked what you had to say and they want to find you somewhere on the internet, where can they do that?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This has been a lot of fun. And for anyone who wants to keep track of any updates with Dungeons Not Dating, the app, you can find me at dungeonsnotdating.com or on TikTok and Instagram under Dungeons Not Dating, or on Facebook under D-Not-D. So Facebook/D-Not-D is where I'll be. I do most of my posts, most of my updates either on the website or on TikTok, just for the most part. But I can be found on any of those. So hopefully you all are looking forward to connecting and looking forward to lunch. I'm hoping it'll be this summer. So
all those links will be in the description down below. Email us at casterskill.com. Let us know what movies from CinemaCon you're looking forward to. Make sure to join us on our Discord. That's where all the fun stuff is happening, and we'll be letting you know where our profiles are on Dungeons Not Dating as soon as it's available. And thank you for tuning in this episode. We will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye.
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 Bye. Bye. See you later. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Say bye.